the moonlight.
An excellent day for an exorcism.
I'm your number one fan.
Hey up and welcome back to Rate Scary and another edition of your latest horror news. Let's get into it. First of all, we've got to talk about the Bring Her Back trailer. A24 has released the official trailer for Bring Her Back. Previously, we only had a teaser. This is definitely one of my most anticipated horror films for this year. This comes from Danny and Michael Philippou. They previously directed A24's absolute hit, one of my favorite horror films of all time, Talk to Me. And A24 are describing this film as a soul-shaking possession horror that cannot be unseen. And the trailer absolutely gives those vibes. Now, apparently the film is about a brother and sister who uncover a terrifying ritual at the secluded home of their new foster mother. This looks so creepy. I feel like this feels different to any other film. It's definitely got a feel of Talk to Me to it. No surprise, because it was such a huge hit. It managed to get $92 million at the worldwide box office. But I'm hoping Bring Her Back goes even harder than Talk to Me did. I cannot wait for this film to come out. Have you seen the trailer? Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, I've got a few bits of news this week that comes straight from CinemaCon, which has recently taken place in the US. And one of those bits of news is about the much awaited, much debated American Psycho remake, which is coming from Luca Guadagnino. So this is a brand new interpretation of the 1991 book American Psycho, which came from Bret Easton Ellis. This has been done for Lionsgate, and there's been quite an interesting update. So in December, Variety reported that Austin Butler was poised to portray Patrick Bateman, which caused a lot of discourse online. People had very mixed feelings. Some really happy about Austin Butler taking on the role. Others, myself included, maybe not so happy, maybe can't see him in that type of a role. But what Luca Guadagnino confirmed is that Scott Z. Burns wrote the script, which is apparently a new adaptation of Bret Easton Ellis's novel and not a direct remake of the 2000 film starring Christian Bale. And regarding casting, he told the CinemaCon crowd that he's in current conversations with exciting performers, but no one has been set to star in it just yet. And actually, this was predicted by author Bret Easton Ellis on a recent episode of his podcast. He said that he has a feeling it's fake news. He heard somewhere from someone that there are no contracts. Austin Butler hasn't signed anything to play Patrick Bateman. Luca doesn't have a deal. Scott Burns is supposed to write the screenplay, doesn't have a deal either. And he said, from various sources that I have, this is just fake news that was put out there to see how an audience is going to react. My God, react we did. So hopefully positive news that maybe Austin Butler isn't our Patrick Bateman, and we'll see what happens from there. Another piece of news that came out of CinemaCon is that an adaptation of Stephen King's The Long Walk is on its way. And Lionsgate revealed that the release date for this is 12th of September this year. Now, if you're not familiar with the story, The Long Walk, this is about an annual walking contest in which 100 teenagers must journey non-stop and under very strict rules. They can't drop below 3 miles an hour, and only one of them is left standing alive and receiving a prize. And it's told from the perspective of a 16-year-old walker named Raymond Garrity and the teens, some good, some bad, some mysterious, in his orbit. This is a fantastic story, and I cannot believe it's taken this long for it to get a film adaptation. I, for one, am very excited about this one. Another film that was heavily talked about at CinemaCon is Resident Evil. And this has been directed by Zach Kreger, who also directed Barbarian. He's got another film coming out this year. It's going to be the 8th live action film in the Resident Evil franchise based on the video games. And apparently this is going to take it back to its horror roots and be much more faithful to the initial games. And Zach Kreger himself was on hand to tease the film during Sony's presentation at CinemaCon. And he says it's going to be unlike any of the previous films. He said there comes a moment in almost every Resident Evil game where you'll find yourself in a dark passageway, your health is almost zero, and there's no way around. You have to go through, but you know there's something awful for you in the darkness. That is the thrill that a Resident Evil game has perfected. My movie will be built in the spirit of those games and follows one central protagonist from point A to point B, as they descend deeper into hell. I am so excited that Resident Evil is definitely heading back down the horror track, and I'm also excited that Zach Cregger is at the helm because I bloody loved Barbarian. Another film which I loved, which hasn't been released yet, is Pavos. Now, I managed to watch this last year as part of one of the film festivals that I provided remote coverage for, and this comes from writer-director Isaac Esban, and it is a coming-of-age horror story, and its long title is Pavos, Children of the Apocalypse, but it is being referred to as just Pavos, and it releases in theatres from Friday, April 4th, so just a couple of days' time. I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was quite unusual to have a coming-of-age film set in this kind of dystopian landscape. We have a viral apocalypse, and we have three young brothers, Salvador, Oliver, and Benjamin, who find themselves isolated in a cabin in the woods. And as they navigate this world, they've got a dark and disturbing secret in their basement, a presence that they need to feed in order to ensure their survival. Definitely one to keep an eye out for. It's going to have a limited release in theatres, but if you do get a chance to go and see it, if it's in a cinema near you, I urge you to go and watch it. Now some news fresh out of Monkey Paw Productions. This is Jordan Peele's production house. We have been given a poster for his latest production, which is called Him, and the tagline is Greatness Demands Sacrifice. And apparently this film is set to release in September of this year, kind of middle of September, around about the 19th, and we are expecting a trailer very, very soon. But in the meantime, we have got this fantastic teaser poster. This is apparently a sports-themed psychological horror. It was originally going to be called GOAT. I'm so glad they changed the name for that. But apparently it centers on a young athlete who is invited to train with the team's retiring star and is described as a blood-chilling journey into the inner sanctum of fame, power, and the pursuit of excellence at any cost. It's directed by Justin Tipping and it stars Marlon Wayans, Tyreek Withers, and Julia Fox. Really nice, neat cast there. I'm curious about this one. Like, sports really isn't my thing, but I'm interested to see how a sports psychological thriller could play out. And then lastly, I want to talk about a film which has to be my most anticipated horror film for this year. 28 years later, we have not got that long now. We are now in April. It releases on the 20th of June this year. And we have some incredible new images that have been released, which look absolutely gorgeous. It just gives us that little bit extra from what we've seen from the trailer. We are expecting another trailer very, very soon. And I just love that we are being drip fed these gorgeous bits of material to really get us excited. Like, God knows how many times I have watched this trailer. It is on every single time I go to the cinema, and every single time I am reciting that goddamn boots, boots, boots poem and tapping my feet in time to when the Teletubbies are on the TV. I am so excited. I get goosebumps every single time I see it. I cannot wait for this film. Are you as excited as I am about 28 years later? Let me know in the comments. But that is it for this week's horror news. Do let me know in the comments if there's anything that I have missed that maybe you have picked up on that I haven't covered. Otherwise, I'll see you with you then. I'll see you soon.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
I'll be right back.
Game over. It's all for you.
Beware the moonlights.
An excellent day for an exorcism.
I'm your number one fan.